6 years and billions of dollars have done little to help the small earthquake-devastated country of Haiti. What is life like today for those who survived the deadly quake? I'm Elaine Reyes in Washington, D.C., and this is America's Now. First up, Haiti's catastrophic earthquake in 2010 demolished much of the island's already fragile infrastructure. Despite over $10 billion donated in aid, struggles and poor conditions persist.
Really, we don't know what happened to the money, but I don't see nothing done. There's really nothing done.
Correspondent Stephen Gibbs travels to the hard-hit island nation. He'll assess the quality of life for Haitians now. Then he grew up learning to sail on Venezuela's Caribbean coast. Now he's casting off for the Summer Olympic Games. For this week's Olympians segment, we're cruising with Venezuelan yachtsman Jose Gutierrez. And later, nestled between the Andes Mountains and the South Atlantic Ocean is the wine capital of Argentina. Correspondent Harris Whitbeck visits the vineyards of Mendoza. He'll tell us how some creative minds are changing the landscape of this idyllic enclave and transforming tourism too. Welcome to the show. In 2010, a massive earthquake struck the impoverished Caribbean country of Haiti. Hundreds of thousands of people were killed, and more than 1 million others became homeless. A massive aid operation began with billions of dollars in assistance being pledged from all over the world. Haiti still bears many of the scars of that deadly disaster. CCTV's Stephen Gibbs returned to the capital, Port-au-Prince. He tells us the story of 2 survivors of the quake years later.
To Port-au-Prince, climbing to 8,500 feet. 78 Juliet, we took off just after him, roger that.
January 2010. We're flying into Haiti. This was just days after a devastating earthquake had struck 25 kilometers from the capital, Port-au-Prince. "90% of the city's buildings were destroyed. Nobody knows how many people died in those first brutal hours. Estimates range from 60 to 300,000. This was a common sight in the city. Endless, usually orderly queues of survivors just waiting for help. In those early weeks, one of the world's biggest aid operations in history set up at the city's airport. But this catastrophe had directly affected 3 million people. Most ended up fending for themselves.
I'm from out here in Boonpool, Lapland. She said the babies are sick. The babies are sick, they got fevers, and they got got diarrhea. So we basically we was struck by an earthquake, and everything was upside down ever since. It's hunger and people was starving, living bad. You see the situation. Yeah, look at where we're sleeping, man. This is where they throw out the trash, man. This is not healthy at all. This is not healthy at all.
Can you tell me your name?
Oh, my name is Yolanda Server.
In those days of chaos, filmmaker Gregory Allen spoke to dozens of victims, including 2 women who, like everyone else in the city, had found their lives shattered in a matter of seconds by the earthquake. Yola ran an orphanage for 43 young girls. All had to move outside into tents. Michelle's home fell down in front of her, and she was sleeping in a public square with her young child. Five years later, we returned to find out what had happened. First, here is Michelle's story. Michelle was a saleswoman before the earthquake. She'd been sleeping in the square for 15 days when we spoke to her.
She said she's there, but she didn't feel good.
Where's her house? What happened to her house?
She lives Peggyville, but her house was destroyed completely.
Michelle ran out of her house as it fell down. Her son was playing outside. She lost everything.
Oui, je suis triste pour juste connaître là, je suis stressée parce que des fois je sens que je ne vivre vraiment comme si je sortais dans la rue, comme si je toujours peur, comme si je toujours attendre bagaille là, toujours même tourner même genre, vous comprenez? Des fois si nous sortons, nous obligés de nous courir rentrer.
Is she worried for the future of her baby?
Ça c'est inquiété pour le futur pour tout le monde.
Oui. Parce que dit bagaille là, tourner même genre.
And they don't have nowhere to go, only staying here.
Here she is in 2015. Her old home was never rebuilt, but she does have a place to live, a one-bedroom apartment which she rents. She says after we spoke to her in 2010, things got far worse, living out on the streets.
Même bête, voler, tout, ça a été toujours convenu à nous l'autre monde. Bon, bien que nous pas convaincre ça, mais il pas une bonne vie, même nous pas bien. C'est ça qui fait que moi-même, moi pas faire un peu de temps. Parce que la situation a été dégénérée, on pas de carité, moi j'étais obligé de descendre.
She left without receiving any help.
Non, pas d'aide. Le gouvernement n'a pas fait rien. Moi-même, je n'ai pas fait rien dans mes pièces. Il y a des gens qui jouent un corps, ils vont aller à faire des cailles, qui font commerce, qui jouent une caille, shelter, je ne fais rien. Ok, je ne vais pas retrouver rien. Bon, je suis retourné à vivre, j'aime qu'on a vécu auparavant.
She's working again, selling household products. She sees herself and her son as fortunate.
Bon, oui. Je me dis que je suis sorti loin. Parce que il y a plein de monde dans la zone tout en bas, même des habitants en bas, il y a des gens qui sont morts vraiment. Tout des cas côté des habiter, un monsieur quand il est tombé sur l'île de mourir. C'est une bonne chance de me dire bon Dieu moi parce que il m'a la vie.
Yola didn't have just one child to care for when her home fell down. She had 43 young girls at her orphanage.
What happened on Tuesday when I got from outside and I came in, it was tremble all over. The wall was falling, I didn't know what would happen. Until that, you know, I see that it was, the building would start cracking.
Fortunately, miraculously, Yola says, the children had just finished class.
Thanks God that the kids wasn't in the building, the kids was outside. So when I came in, so everything was around was down. And the kids were living in the second floor, and you could see from the top, and everything is cracked. The walls are falling next to it, and that happened from all over to the building. The kids were yelling and very scared too. And this building was built by me. I was in the state for 30 years, and I had a house, and I had to sell the house and build the school to help the kids from Haiti get to a normal life.
Yola moved to Haiti from her home in New York in 1991. Her husband died 10 years later. Ever since, she's been caring for the young girls. After the quake, the entire orphanage moved into these tents.
It's not comfortable for them to with all the children in the tent. You still have more earthquake coming because they are aftershock. So now she told me she needs help, but she doesn't know how to get this help.
Has she community?
No, not yet. You are the first one come to yes. They said they need help, they need food, they need everything in this country, but they can have a better life.
Years later, we went back. Yola never received any substantial aid to repair the buildings. What has been done has been all thanks to a builder from the United States who spends his vacation time and money helping do what he can.
This is all the part the kids. See? All those parts. This is where that was breaking.
This was that corner where it was broken.
Yeah. The iron was falling in two parts. Every year they come, they do a little part. Every time they come, they do a little part. And now they fix up 2 floors. Now they should be coming and fix up the 3rd floor.
How long were the children living in tents?
It was like a year and a half. It was a year.
So you were running this whole foundation with all the girls in tents for a year and a half?
Yeah.
That must have been extremely difficult, yeah?
It was.
Did you have running water or electricity or...?
We didn't have no electricity. But we have to take it the way it was until we come out.
Many of the younger girls are here because their parents died in the earthquake. Others arrived aged just a few weeks old, left by parents who couldn't afford to provide for them. We thought we'd show them the images we had of them 5 years ago. Seeing themselves on camera was the best, and it seemed the funniest thing they'd seen for a long time. Haiti was totally in the news 5 years ago, and everyone was saying that after this catastrophe maybe good can come out of it. Maybe this will be the turning point and this will change how the country is run and and the lives of all the people that survived.
Well, let me tell you my feeling. The money that will come in from the state will come into the government. So that got nothing to do with us. People from the state come in to build the shelters, and really we don't know what happened to the money. But I don't see nothing done. There's really nothing done.
And is that a big disappointment for you, or are you surprised?
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm really not surprised.
Yola just gets on with what she sees as her duty as best she can, with or without outside help, looking after some of the most vulnerable children in one of the world's most vulnerable countries.
I'm glad I'm here. I'm really glad. I'm really glad. Sometimes they make you happy and sometimes they make you sad, so this is life. Yeah.
Six years after the earthquake, it is easy to see Haiti as a country of unfulfilled promises, where billions of dollars of aid seems to have vanished. But that doesn't mean there's despair here. Instead, there's a quiet reliance on a simpler form of generosity.
Our thanks to Stephen Gibbs for that report. Haiti will hold presidential elections this year. They have been delayed repeatedly, but are now scheduled for October. A Venezuelan sportsman set sail for the Olympics.
It's basically a one design class, which means that the winner is going to be the best athlete and not the faster boat or the best sail.
America's Now.
Welcome back to America's Now. Venezuela has near-perfect year-round sailing conditions, but very few competitive sailors. That's been a challenge for Jose Gutierrez, who will represent his country in the 2016 Rio Games. Finances have kept him from participating in as many international competitions as other yachtsmen, but it didn't sink his Olympic dreams. Jose is our featured Olympian this week.
My name is Jose Gutierrez, and I'm going to be representing Venezuela in the laser class in the sport of sailing at the Summer Olympic Games in Rio. It's basically a one design class, which means that the winner is going to be the best athlete and not the one that has the faster boat or the best sail. So it's a pretty even sport. So you have to try to be more fit, more smart, taking better decisions, but I'm trying to be faster with the same boat that the other athletes. So it's a very challenging sport. Basically the most challenging part of my training, because I can work in everything else on my own, but I don't have other people to compare in the starting line. And of course, at this level, it's one of the most important things for having a good tactic. It's a very critical moment of the race, and the technique is basically you have to put together the balance of the boat, you have to heel it to leeward so the boat turn faster, and then using the rudder, of course, and then keeping your sail full all the time you can. In the downwind, it's very unstable. You have to have a lot of strength in your legs because the position is super hard to keep. And if you want to go fast, you have to keep the boat flat. You have to try to keep yourself on top of the boat while the capsize is happening. So if you kind of climb while the boat is rolling, then you can put it back up pretty fast.
Yo competí con él hace unos 3 años y él siempre iba más rápido que los demás. Y eso es un talento natural. Yo creo que esa es su principal fortaleza. En Venezuela tenemos las mejores condiciones naturales para navegar. Sin embargo, tenemos el problema de que las flotas, la cantidad de veleristas es muy baja. El reto acá, tratar de simular situaciones en las que él se sienta comprometido con poco espacio, con poca comodidad para navegar, que es lo que sucede en flotas muy grandes. O sea, una flota grande acá pueden ser unas 10, 15 personas y en cualquier campeonato internacional son 60. Entonces, por supuesto, llegar a un campeonato sin esa práctica es para nosotros muy difícil. Resulta extraño que con las condiciones tan perfectas que tenemos eso suceda, pero bueno, son condiciones también perfectas para la navegación a motor. Y como es tan económico el combustible, pues parece mentira, eso ha contribuido a que sea difícil levantar la vela en Venezuela. Y eso lo podemos ver muy fácilmente en que la gran mayoría de los veleristas venezolanos son hijos de extranjeros, no hijos de venezolanos.
And he came to Venezuela when World War II was happening in Europe, and he was surprised that with such beautiful coast and sea, nobody here was sailing. Before sailing, I practiced every other sport, soccer, baseball, swimming, and I didn't like any of those. And then when I tried sailing and start racing, the first time I win, it was a crazy feeling, so I like it and I'm still here.
Me encanta navegar, el hecho de estar moviéndose con solamente el viento y en una superficie acuática, lo cual es muy interesante y divertido.
La vela es un deporte totalmente ecológico, no hay ningún tipo de contaminación, ni sonora, ni de combustible, ni química. O sea, no hay nada más agradable que ir en un barco donde no hay sonido, sino el del mar o el del viento. Y bueno, eso definitivamente hace especial el deporte.
Since I started 7 years ago, he was already a high-level sailor. So yeah, I really admire him. I wanted to be like him.
Chévere, o sea, me parece bien que vaya a las Olimpiadas. Además que es venezolano y es de Puerto Azul, entonces es como que wow.
Right now, the country is not going through a good economic situation, so it's hard for them to afford all my campaign. So I'm trying to find the money on my own and try to guarantee that I have a good preparation towards the most important event in sports.
Básicamente el trabajo que hacemos es un trabajo ad honorem, por pasión y porque de alguna manera nos sentimos comprometidos con una causa que es importante, que es representar a un país, ¿no? Y creo que le haría mucho bien a Venezuela en este momento demostrarle que aún con todas las adversidades podemos lograr buenos resultados.
I'm middle class and I can sail properly. Maybe I don't have everything new and I don't have all the nice stuff like other guys, but I think competitive. And I've known sailors all around the world that can do good without having that much money. We've been training for 4 years, 8 years, even 12 years to get a medal or a spot in the final, whatever. People is willing to do everything to, you know, gain 1 spot, 2 spots. Here we have good wind all the year, good weather all the year, and that is something I appreciate. And sometimes I realize how fortunate I am when I travel and see the conditions, mainly the weather conditions. Sometimes it's freezing, raining. I think here is a paradise for all the marine sports, windsurfing, kite surfing, sailing. Of course, I feel proud because I know that every Venezuelan athlete that goes to the Olympic Games has to make a huge effort to be there. Only by qualifying, you know, you're putting a lot of time, hours training. So I think it's going to be an amazing experience.
Jose started sailing at the age of 13. He had an online fundraising campaign to help finance his pre-Olympic competitions, and despite falling short of his target, he's still making his way to Rio.
Coming up.
Nurturing a new vision in Argentina wine country.
This project was clear. There was one in the group who really had this clear vision, I want to have a hotel and restaurant. And we just loved to be part of the project.
America's Now.
Welcome back. Mendoza, Argentina is traditionally known for its fruity red Malbec wines. Situated near the Andes Mountains, it's a place where architecture, natural beauty, great food, and good wine come together. But it has also become a gathering place to create new experiences and new business. Residents are getting creative in making their dreams come true. America's Now correspondent Harris Whitbag takes us to Mendoza.
Cecilia Aram is realizing her dream. Mid-career, she and a group of friends decided to uproot and embark upon the adventure of their lives. They moved thousands of miles to a faraway land and built a hotel. It all started in 2009 during a dinner conversation in faraway Switzerland.
We are a couple of friends who always were dreaming of doing projects outside of. And when it came a time where we had a good job, but it was like the project was finishing, there was some inheritance, and he was thinking, let's do it now, because if you're gonna always dream about it and never do it, we're never gonna do it.
So they packed their bags and headed to Argentina.
This project was clear. The group who really had this clear vision, I want to have a hotel and restaurant. And we just project and helping realizing that dream.
So once we decided to go in the Eastern holidays to travel around and travel through Argentina with a minivan and the 12 people with us, children's, grandfathers, friends and us, all are Swiss. And traveled around and found this place here by accident and fell in love. That's the only property everybody unitedly said, wow, here, that's the place. I think it's because of the distance to the mountains we have and the climate is great.
Hotel Entre Cielos, buenos días. Por supuesto.
7 years later, Entre Cielos stands out as one of the premier boutique hotels in Mendoza, and it has helped put Argentine wine country on the map.
The idea was to do really something really holistic. So when somebody arrives at our place, we want to inspire people. We want to let them be able to relax, to let go, to think, to reflect, and to go home with a nice experience and go home to have to do more about their lives also. So not to have like a daily work and being unhappy and really come back. So we want to share this beautiful place with many people and create an environment where you can do yoga, you can have massages, you can enjoy a hammam without having like an esoteric or without having a new age feel on it. It has to be really relaxed.
This idyllic land of dramatic mountains and lush valleys has always attracted dreamers, artists, renegades. Today, the latest generation has launched a wave of creative energy that is galvanizing the entire region. Changing the landscape, the traditional tourism industry, and most recently, the palates of red wine lovers around the world.
En 12. ¿Y dónde están casi esos países? ¿Casi todos en Europa?
Alejandro Vigil is one of the most revered winemakers in Mendoza. The wines he creates for the Catena Zapata label are known around the world. But it is this tiny private label, Amigo, that he is most proud of. Only 100,000 bottles a year of a red wine that surprises in the complexity that comes from its bold origins.
En general lo que existen son paradigmas y nadie se pregunta el por qué, como cualquier paradigma en cualquier actividad. Lo que hay que estar permanentemente pensando y asociando es decir, ¿esto por qué se hace? ¿Por qué? Los vinos con más alcohol tienen mayor calidad. ¿Por qué? No, porque tienen más calidad. ¿Por qué? Bueno, los vinos que son más concentrados son mejores. ¿Por qué? Bueno, son todas preguntas que uno se tiene que hacer. Y como en su momento decían, los vinos con más madera son los mejores. Y alguien dijo, no, son peores, porque estás maquillando la fruta que te trae el viñedo.
Vigil is not afraid to mix different varieties of grapes, try radical ways of planting, combine wood with concrete casks to create wines that are as surprising as they are beautiful.
Un ejemplo claro que durante muchos años se hacía acá. Las viñas se plantan de sur a norte, nunca de oeste a este, para que le dé el sol a la mañana y le dé el sol a la tarde, para tener fruta más concentrada y más alcohol. Pero tenés más alcohol. ¿Es bueno tener más alcohol? No sé. ¿Por qué no plantas de la otra dirección? Que no le dé tanto el sol, sean vinos más frescos, más fáciles de beber. Frescos, fáciles de beber. Pero van a ser menos concentrados, claro. Entonces, en vez de una botella, te vas a tomar dos.
His relationship to wine goes beyond that of an ordinary winemaker. His is to the earth, the sun, and the wind that help create it.
No, mis vinos lo que intentan es representar en el paladar un lugar. Si fuera todo perfecto, podrías tomar un trago del vino y transportarte a ese lugar. Eso sería una perfección. Entonces lo que intento siempre es traducir un lugar determinado en una viña. Siempre digo que la definición de terroir, siempre vos vas a escuchar cuando te hablan de terruño, la conjunción, clima, suelo, hombre. Eso es una cosa muy general, hay que ser más específico. Terruño es la experiencia centenaria de cultivar uva y elaborar uva de un determinado lugar.
The enemy he refers to in his label is the enemy he says everyone has within. The fear and adherence to paradigms that keep people from doing what they truly want to do in life.
El concepto del enemigo, que es no tener miedo, básicamente es eso, es hacelo. ¿Qué es lo que te impide? Ahora, por supuesto, hay cosas que no tienen ningún fundamento. Porque, digamos, que hay un nivel de creatividad muy grande, pero tenés que, digamos, transar con la parte científica o la parte que tiene que ver con los procesos químicos y biológicos, porque es lo que estás trabajando. Ahora, si dentro de eso vos podés hacer distintas cosas, hacelo.
Rising above a sea of grapevines further down the valley, the Au Fournier winery is another example of the fearless creativity that is engulfing Mendoza. The building was created by Argentine architect Eliana Bormida.
La obra de arquitectura no se tiene que entender como una pieza arquitectónica, como un artefacto aislado en el paisaje. Nosotros queremos que los visitantes comprendan la arquitectura como parte del paisaje, y esta es una bodega que por su recorrido va conectando experiencias de naturaleza con experiencias puramente arquitectónicas. Porque si tú miras alrededor en este momento, tú sientes que está la arquitectura presente, porque alrededor de esta plaza sientes los tres edificios, pero también sientes la cordillera con igual presencia, sientes el verde, sientes las barreras, sientes el mar de viñas por alrededor, ¿verdad? Hay un equilibrio entre arquitectura y naturaleza muy fuerte. Para nosotros eso es una bodega.
Function rules, but form dominates.
Ese edificio, que es el más audaz,
es el más imponente.
Claro, es el primero que se construyó, es el que recibe la vendimia por gravedad, tiene unas rampas importantes que traen la uva a esa plataforma superior donde están las bocas de los tanques, y ese cuerpo cuadrado que se ve abajo, ese cubo, contiene los tanques de fermentación y conservación. Porque el vino no es solamente una bebida que se disfruta tomándola. La sociabilidad del vino es importantísima para enriquecer el valor del producto, porque el vino no es solamente un producto comercial, es un bien cultural. Eso se ha comprendido muy bien. Por lo tanto, las visitas, que es lo que vamos a ver ahora, llegan por otro recorrido. Las visitas estacionan después de haber pasado por los viñedos y entran a la bodega por ese camino, por ese eje, que tú ves que se conecta con los caminos de la finca.
Like much in Mendoza, this winery is deeply connected to its surroundings, the history of place.
Claro, hay una mentalidad. Primero, que nosotros vivimos en la cordillera y toda el área andina, desde el Perú hasta el norte y el sur, han sido civilizaciones del regadío.
Sí, exacto, los
Entonces,
incas
claro, los incas, antes Tiahuanaco, o sea, son civilizaciones del desierto que han manejado el agua de manera extraordinaria. Mendoza fue el confín austral del imperio incaico, esta zona era el confín del Collasuyo, este era el Collasuyo, y nosotros estamos realmente muy orgullosos de esa tradición milenaria de las civilizaciones del regadío. Mendoza es una de las regiones que junto con las áreas de Chile, han desarrollado las tecnologías de irrigación de la mayor vanguardia. Entonces, hay una historia del riego aquí que también es una enorme riqueza cultural. Entonces, nosotros somos del vino y del agua.
Mendoza's Uco Valley is dotted with expressions of extraordinary creativity, design, and hospitality. The Vines, a complex of private vineyards, homes, and a spa hotel, offers winemaking, cooking experiences, wide open spaces, and intimate corners to expand the mind. All of this has happened in the last decade. Mendoza has seen a jump in tourism of nearly 7% per year since 2013. Travelers attracted to more than just beauty or good food and wine. Travelers that react to what happens when creativity.
Recién estamos empezando en el vino y tenemos todo un espacio enorme de creatividad que hay que liberarlo. Y eso para mí es lo fundamental. Hay mucho espacio para ver todo lo que quieras.
Is mixed with life to the fullest.
A little bit of craziness, a little bit of naivety, a little bit of, how would I say, time is short, life is short. So to do the maximum of your time here on Earth, to discover many places on Earth, I think that was what drives us to really get the most of it while we're here.
Tourism officials predict continued growth for the destination as new properties, new vineyards, and more people continue to visit.
Coming up.
A museum about the future, attracting visitors today.
It's not a museum of the future because the future can be far away, but tomorrow is always taking place now.
America's Now.
Welcome back to America's Now. Rio de Janeiro, the host city of this summer's Olympic Games, houses one of the world's most eye-catching buildings, the Museum of Tomorrow. And the science institution certainly looks like something from the future. The museum's curator, Luis Alberto Oliveira, conceived its concept of exploring and imagining through various experiments and experiences. He is this week's Urban Voice.
The museum is called Museum of Tomorrow instead of Museum of the Future because somewhere at this precise moment it's already tomorrow. The sun is rising in the east. So it's not Museum of the Future because the future can be far away, but tomorrow is always taking place now.
It's a striking structure that salutes modernism and occupies 15,000 square meters. Designed by famous Spanish architect Santiago Calatrava, its chief curator is a Brazilian physicist who has a PhD in cosmology, Luis Alberto Oliveira.
The building has side wings upon its back that move according to the position of the sun to maximize the catching of solar energy. It's a movable architecture, which Calatrava enjoys very much.
From its solar panels and water drawn from the bay for its cooling system, to the open spaces which help light the building from within, the museum's mission is to encourage a conversation about sustainability.
We want the visitors to reflect upon the fact that if tomorrow is not ready, if tomorrow is a construction, every action that we take today will help to shape the path to this future, this possible future, or that other possible future. So certain actions will lead us to certain scenarios. Other actions will favor other consequences. Cause and effect. That's what science is about. That's what the museum is about.
The museum is divided into 5 sections: Cosmos, Earth, the Age of Man, Tomorrow, and Us. It displays a collection of interactive games and film screens with presentations that ask us to ask ourselves about the future. The ecological footprint, for example, shows people the destruction being done to the Earth. It's the result of Anthropocene, or the New Age of Man, which the museum explains using huge video screens with startling statistics showing the amount of energy, water, and meat our population consumes. More and more.
The concept of the Anthropocene, that is, that the Earth has entered now the age of the humans, the age in which a new actor has come into place, which is the action of mankind as a whole. This is the central concept of the museum. So the story we want to tell is the story of how we got to the Anthropocene and what are the ways that depart from the Anthropocene to different possible future scenarios.
The data is updated constantly.
We are entirely digital because of the need of updating our contents. So we have a system called the Cerebro in which every data, every graphic, every picture, every video of the museum is stored, and we can update each one of these items. So the museum is entirely updatable, so it can be fair to its name. It's always a museum of tomorrow and not a museum of yesterday. The museum is aimed to provide its visitors with an experience of building of tomorrow. The main concept of the museum is that tomorrow is not ready, it's not finished, it's not a date in the calendar, it's not a place where we will arrive. Tomorrow is a construction, and we will all take part in this construction as people, as citizens, as members of the humankind. In 1 century, we changed the patterns of flow of every major river system in all the continents. When geologists of the future, they examine the evidences of our time, they will ask what titanic force was able in 1 century to change the pattern of flow of every major river in all the world. Which force was that? Was the volcanoes, the sun? No, it was human activity.
The Museum of Tomorrow seems to leave an impression on virtually every visitor.
Saí transformada daqui, achando que a gente precisa mudar realmente, né? Tenho que diminuir o consumo, tentar reutilizar as coisas para ter um futuro melhor, poder oferecer um futuro melhor para as minhas filhas, para os meus netos, deixar um planeta mais sustentável.
Hundreds of thousands have toured the museum since it opened to the public in December of 2015, which Oliveira finds gratifying.
For the responses we are having, around 90% of them, they said that the museum has changed the way in which they see the world. Some of them already have ecological values and take part in actions, but many others, they say, I never heard about this before. I never heard it told in this way. So we do think that the museum is achieving this goal of affecting people.
Planet Earth has changed.
Future is open, it's not settled, but we are going to settle the path to this possible future or to that other. This is our responsibility.
The museum opened in December 2015. Designers say the building is energy efficient. 9% of its energy comes from solar power.
America's Now.
Finally, Peruvian cuisine is quickly gaining a reputation as one of the best in the world. In Lima, the restaurant Central was chosen as the best in South America. It is also ranked 4th internationally by the world's 50 best restaurants list. Central's diverse food is locally sourced from the country's different ecosystems. We leave you with some images of their tasty dishes no one can resist. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week for another edition of America's Now.